Sini aja lihat sini, Mbak. Ya.
sebetulnya 70 tahun di Indonesia.
Mohon perhatian kepada Bapak dan Ibu, sesaat lagi acara akan kita mulai. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you all in a stakeholders forum, focus forced labor and climate change, keeping a focus on women and children at BRIN. Distinguished Chairman of Research Organization for Social Sciences and Humanities, BRIN, Professor Ahmad Najib Burhani. Distinguished Head of Research Center for Law, BRIN, Ibu Emilia Justiningrum, PhD. Distinguished Professor Jennifer Body from Griffith University. Distinguished Professor Dr. Ing Handayani from Diponegoro University. All speaker and presenter from Griffith University, Dr. Emi Yong. From BRIN, Dr. Leri Nur Hidayah. From Ministry of Public Works and Housing, Mr. Muhammad Rehan Firlandi. And from National Disaster Management Authority Indonesia, joined from online, Ms. Franta Evelyn. From Ministry of National Development Planning or Bappenas, Bapak Prianto Rahmatullah SME, the Director of for Environment. From Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, Ibu Dr. Anda Eko Novi Arianti Rahayu Damayanti as Deputy Assistant for Social and Culture. Mr. Laude M. Sarif, PhD, Executive Director at Kemitraan or Partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you for taking the time to attend this event. It gives me a great pleasure to be a master ceremony today. My name is Asep Saipudin. And first we will sing a national anthem Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise up. Thank you. Please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, now for opening remarks from Head of Research Center for Law to Ibu Emilia, kami persilahkan.
Thank you, Pak Asep. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming for the stakeholder forum, keeping forced labor, climate change, and keeping a focus on women and children. Today on Thursday, 5th of September in 2024. And this event is organized by Research Center for Law at the National Research and Innovation Agency, in collaboration with KONEKSI Research Funding, Griffith University Australia, and Diponegoro University Indonesia. Today, I would like to thank you for the team who organized the event, especially Ibu Dr. Lely Nurhidayah from Research Center for Law, and especially Bapak Ahmad Fatoni for the team for organizing the event in an excellent way, and also Dr. Amy Yang from Griffith University, Ibu Professor Wiwandari Handayani from Diponegoro University, and also I would like to say hello to my longtime friend from Griffith University, Dr. Febi Dwi Rahmadi. Congratulations for the hard work and making this event happen in an excellent way. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that there are intersections between climate change, gender, and forced labor. And how does this thing happen? We know that when there is a rising of sea level that happen in coastal areas, it's not only happen in Indonesia, but also in many parts of the world. And when the living, but how does exactly the intersection between climate change, labor, and gender? And in the case of the rising of sea level, we see that in dry season, usually when sea rising is low, the women can do income generating activities in farming. But when the sea level is high, they have to change into different type of jobs like farming. But when we take a closer look on how the impact of climate change in women, we see that sometimes women have no decision-making process to make a decision on to change the income generating activities or to make decision whether to move to another place or not. Because mostly in the case of Indonesia, to move on the husband. And in some point, woman has a lower level of income, and also a woman have more responsibility because besides they have to work, they have also to take care of the younger children and the elderly. Today we will have a stakeholder forum, which is we will have a various perspective on the climate change, labor, and gender. Not only from BRIN, but also from Griffith University, from Diponegoro University, from National Agency for Disaster Management, BNPB, from Partnership, from Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Women Empowerment and Children Protection, and also National Development and Planning Agency, Bappenas. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you to have fruitful and wonderful discussion, and I invite you to participate in the event. Thank you.
Please give applause. Thank you to Ibu Emilia Justiningrum. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for second remarks from Professor Jennifer Body from Griffith University. Please take your time.
Thank you, Dr. Emilia, and good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi, Jakarta.
Selamat pagi.
On behalf of Griffith University in Australia, I am delighted to welcome you all to this stakeholder forum on forced labour, migration, and climate change. I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation to the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade for the Australia-Indonesia Partnership KONEKSI grant, which has funded this study. And I'd also like to particularly thank our partners and hosts for this week, the Indonesian National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN. It's been really lovely to be here and to work with you throughout this project. I'd also like to thank, of course, our partner organisation, Universitas Diponegoro, for working with us. Thank you, Prof. Wiwi. And to all distinguished participants who are here today, either in person or online, thank you. Ibu dan Bapak semua, ladies and gentlemen. This critically important project, which we've been working on over the last year, has examined policy responses to the forced labour and the impacts on vulnerable women and children, especially those exposed to natural disasters that have been exacerbated by climate change. We've focused on the risks of rising sea levels to coastal villages, the risks of forced migration that arises from land loss, and the intersection with forced labour. We know that over the next 100 years, we will experience rising sea levels, which will lead to more frequent and severe coastal flooding, displacement of populations and land loss, particularly in low-lying areas and small island nations. We also know that we will experience more extreme weather events with increased frequency and severity and intensity. We'll experience changes in ecosystems and biodiversity with habitat loss, species extinction, and ocean acidification. And we'll experience health risks from heat-related illnesses and mortality, food and water insecurity, and migration and conflict. These impacts are disproportionately experienced by vulnerable communities. And as our world continues to warm, adaptation research, such as the project we're all here for today, becomes ever more important. Such projects help us to work towards equitable outcomes. They help us to work towards inclusion and equal opportunities for all people, regardless of ability, age, location, and gender, and they help us to work towards a more peaceful and prosperous planet. What I've been really struck by in this project, as someone fortunate enough to have been a team member over the last year, is the way in which every team member has worked together to find knowledge-based solutions and policy solutions to the complex issues associated with climate change, migration, and forced labour. All of the partners in this project have been motivated to work towards a common goal, learning from one another, regularly meeting together, taking responsibility for deliverables, collectively solving problems, and ensuring that we deliver on our project objectives. This research has been made possible due to the support from our stakeholders and our participants. In this project, we've collaborated with all levels of government, from the village to provincial and national level. Throughout our project, we've met with non-government organisations, fisheries, cooperatives, and UMKM, micro, small and medium enterprises, who've all worked closely with the communities. And of course, we've met with women and children, and we've had hundreds of people participating and involved in this study across 6 Kalaraharan or villages in Jakarta, Pakalongan, Semarang and Demak, all of whom have been willing to share their stories and experiences with us, and we are incredibly grateful to those community members. I've been delighted to play a very small part in this important project, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from colleagues today who've kindly offered their time, and in particular the 4 discussants, but also all of the questions and comments from everyone who are here. I'd like to particularly thank the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, the National Agency for Disaster Management, BNPB, the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, Partnership, and the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, who are attending online. I hope we can continue working together to understand and address the global challenges of our time, and of course, continue to serve the communities that we work for, and particularly the women and children in those communities. So to finish, I would like you to allow me to end by giving a poem. Indonesia dan Australia, saling berjumpa dalam kerja sama. Mari berdiskusi membangun asa agar anak bangsa dapat terus sejahtera. Indonesia and Australia meet each other in cooperation. Let's discuss building hope so that people can continue to prosper. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Profesor Jennifer. Ini kalau tamunya pakai pantun, tuan rumah harus pakai pantun nanti Bu ya. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for the next remark from the representative from Diponegoro University to Professor Biwendari Handayani, please take your time.
Thank you, Pak Asep. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, good morning, our honorable guest from the national government, from the different related ministries, the various institutions, invited universities, also representative from the government, local governments, and also participants who join us online. I saw here some colleague from the Central Java province, and also some representative from Jakarta, from Semarang, Pekalongan, and Demak, and also our honorable partners from BRIN, Ibu Emilia, PhD, Professor Jennifer, Dr. Amy, Dr. Feby, Ibu Lely, and all partners. I will try to make it brief because later on I will also give some presentations. In these opportunities, on behalf of the Dean of Faculty of Engineering, Diponegoro University, I would like to extend our gratitude to be part of this research And as we know, this climate change will always regard as an important discussions. Indonesia, as we live in the prone areas impacted by this climate change risk, and how to connect these issues with forced labor, with women, children, migration are very important for our development in the future. What I would like to emphasize a little bit in this opportunity is I really also very grateful to be part of the partnership with the Griffith and also with Brin, because we come from different discipline. I come from urban and regional planning, and some of our partners come from the law and also some from the social perspective. So it makes, I hope, yeah, this leads to richer result and would leads to also a more integrative policy recommendation and could be continued not only in the conceptual perspective, but also more concrete action in the future. I think I will stop here at this point. So thank you again, especially for Ibu Emily and from BRIN for hosting this stakeholder forum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Profesor Wandari Handayani. Ini nggak ada yang mewakili, kita jangan sampai kalah sama Australia ya. Mungkin sepak bola boleh kalah, tapi kalau pantun janganlah gitu ya. Gitu ya, enggak. Jangan sampai. Oke. Good morning, selamat pagi. Walau kepala pening, kita harus tetap semangat lagi ya. 1 + 1 is 2. 3 + 3 is 6. Ayo semua peserta semangat selalu biar kita kelihatan makin asik. Memaksa ya. Terima kasih Pak Lode udah dipaksa. Ini beneran bahasa Inggris nih Pak yang sekarang Pak. Twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. Semoga kita makin pintar dan dana riset semakin besar. Oke, terima kasih. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for giving placards and souvenir. And after that, we have taking group photo. So, kepada panitia, ini panitianya satu orang nih. Pakai sepatu roda Mas, biar cepat larinya. Kita ada, sebelum kita memulai, ini ada penyerahan plakat dan souvenir terlebih dahulu. Mohon kepada Ibu Kapus bisa menyerahkan ini kepada, ya, mungkin posisinya agak di belakang sedikit ya Ibu. Ya. To Professor Jennifer Body from Griffith University. Selanjutnya dari Diponegoro, perwakilan dari Diponegoro. Nggak apa-apa Bu, bisa digosen aja Bu nanti plakatnya. Satu lagi, Dokter pembicara dari Griffith University, Dr. Emeyong. Ya. Nanti yang memimpin moderator Mas Febi, jadi diberikan dulu ini Bu. Itu. Ini walaupun Indonesia tapi di Griffith University Bu. Representatif from Indonesia. Mas Fatoni ini semua pembicara ya? Cukup mungkin ya Mas Fatoni nanti yang atau? Ya. Ini kalau berdiri repot juga mungkin fotografer baiknya bagaimana untuk foto grupnya? Nanti ya, nanti saja. Ya, sekalian pada saat break semua bubar, semua bangun, baru kita ambil sesi foto ya. Oke. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and now for parallel session about dissemination result from Dr. Emi Young from Griffith University, and then Dr. Leli Nurhidayah from BRIN, and Dr. Iwandari Handayani from Diponegoro University. Untuk parallel session, mungkin bisa kami sampaikan kepada moderator kita, Mas Febi, kami silakan Mas.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all of us. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semuanya. It's a pleasure for me to be here in this beautiful room and also surrounded by a lot of experts, a lot of friends, a lot of stakeholders, which is very important. As we all know, in terms of research, there is a pyramid of DIKY, so the data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So what we are currently doing is actually to share data, to share some, hopefully that data can become into information, and information become knowledge, and hopefully knowledge become wisdom. So the wisdom part is actually something that is quite difficult or challenging, especially in relation to policy development. We need to have public to understand or recognize the problem. So that is what we are trying to do. So then to make sure that public understand what is the problem. And also public need to believe that there is a viable solutions. And the last one is actually the most important part, which is the most challenging part as well, the politics. So public willing to act, to solve the problem. Yeah, so this is something that we would like to listen from all key stakeholders. So the way we do the session, so we are going to, so the research team will disseminate the result of the research. So it will be a group work. So it's like a group assignment at the university. So we have student one, not student, sorry. So the first presenter will be Prof. Wiwi, and then we have Dr. Emi, and also then Dr. Laili will do the presentation. So it will be one presentation. So that will be from now until 10:40, right? So and then after that, we are so lucky that we have a series of, so we have a couple of key people who will provide response or provide feedback. So we have from Ministry of Public Works and Housing, so Muhammad Rehan Berlandis, who is attending through Zoom. From National Disaster Management Authority Indonesia, we have Mbak Frenta Evelyn also attending through Zoom. We have Pak Priyanto Rahmatullah. Pak Priyanto Rahmatullah attending, he is with us here. And Dr. Anda Eko Novi Arianti, through Zoom, yeah, so through Zoom. So from Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protections, and last but not least, we have a very handsome guy sitting next to me, Pak Laude Muhammad Sharif, PhD from Executive Director. Unfortunately. You were saying it. From Kubitraan Parsi. He is also one of my mentors. So I dare to say that. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Ibu Wiwi, Prof. Wiwi, please. The floors are yours.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Feby. It's me again, and I'm sorry, Pak Asep, I forgot to mention earlier that I didn't prepare any pantun. So I feel a little bit bad now. Ya, Bapak Ibu semuanya, selamat pagi, good morning, and for this opportunity, allow me to represent some as part of the research team to present the project overview of our research. Then Amy and Bu Lely will continue. Yeah, we bring a lot of terms in the research, so I will try at our best to explain it in a very brief way. That actually there are terms related to the forced labor, migrations, climate change, and we would like to focus on this term into the women and children. And we hope this will bring such novelty. As we know, there have been a lot of research in some areas like in Semarang, even also in Muara Angke, Jakarta, Pekalongan, Demak. Some said that it's already over-research. But with this, bringing the focus on the women and children, we do hope that we can bring such novelty to apply kind of gender child focus analysis on the topic related to, again, the other important terms, forced labor and climate change. And we consider migrations as an important emerging topic, along the process that we have been doing in a year. So we try to map to the extent of forced labors amongst women and children in our research area. I will try to briefly explain later on in the next slide to gain a better understanding of the experiences of the vulnerable women and children in such certain vulnerable villages along the coast. And also with our roundtable approach, we expect to have a kind of consensus amongst the community leaders, amongst the local stakeholders, amongst the policymakers on ways how we have to address these forced labor issues, focusing on women and children in their communities. And since it has been questions about the definition about what is forced labor, we make a note here that the term forced labor in this project relates to compact labor amongst women and children. Here, including labor practices which are socially mandated and which negatively impact on well-being. As we know, sometimes it's quite challenging for us to explain forced labor in Bahasa, and also maybe different people will have different concept on this term. And next, for the case study, we focus on several villages, urban villages in 4 areas. In Jakarta, we focus in Muara Angke, and in Pekalongan, we focus on 2 different villages in Jeruk Sari and Panjangwetan. In Demak, we focus in Bedono, and in Semarang, we focus in Tambak Lorok. So that's kind of, in terms of geographic and physical conditions, there's also some variations as we focus on very dense urban village like in Muara Angke, and also in Muara Angke, Jakarta, and also in Semarang. And we have kind of mid-size urban village in Pekalongan and quite rural in characteristic in Demak. So there's also a variation on our research area or the chosen villages along these 4 spots in our research. Next, please. And for the methods, we before come to the methods, we try to elaborate how labor, migration, poverty, health, education's right to safety issues. We bring this into the conversation through several process or approach. We start this in December 2023, so end of last year, focusing on the policy scoping, and we did kind of follow-up interviews with key ministry stakeholders. And I think at that time, our BRIN partners lead the process. And we did also an initial survey measuring the 4 field visit with women and children before we really jump into a more detailed survey, distributing questionnaires, interview, and so on. We did it in the January 2024, and then we do the survey, questionnaires, and also interview in these different locations. And most interestingly, personally for me, that we did 8 roundtables in April in Jakarta, in Semarang, Pekalongan, and Demak, and we divided into 2 parts in each area, with the government and with the community. With this approach, we try to elaborate the consensus and the ideas from differently, how the way the policymakers try to understand, and how actually the locals understand and things about the future related to these terms that becomes the focus of our research. Next, please. And all the participant overview is include women and children, as you know, as explained on the slide, 100 each area, and total will be 400. And the respondents characteristics, as you've seen also on the slide, age range, average 44 years old for children, for women, and 10 to 17 years old for children. Mostly Japanese, quite balanced for the children between male and female children's. For the educations, mostly for the women is only it's elementary schools, and with the household size of 4 or 5, so means one woman has have like 2 to 3 children. Yeah, I would like to start with the key findings, and then I will pass to Bu Lely to Bu Amy to continue. The first one, the first key findings, we would like to see in the broader way how the impacts of climate change experienced by women and children in our research area. And as a general finding, we highlight that actually climate change impacts for sure, the household finances. More than 80% women, regards as our respondents, report that the household have been impacted by climate change, and of course it's influenced their financing situations. And 75% of the homes have been damaged by disaster, and it require cost. Okay, so even without this climate change, they have to deal with some economic situations. It becomes worse because of the climate change, because they experience kind of disaster like flood and so on, and pushing the situation into poverty. And 75% of women state that quite clearly. And for the children, we found out that 88% of children had seen flooding in their home. With some, even they said they experience it daily, because there's also a kind of onset disaster like tidal flood, not only a big flood that may become occasionally on this 4 area. And the children reported schools and roads can close from flooding, and of course it influenced their education's experience. And another interesting things when we see how the women and children's has experience related to this climate change phenomenon, is most of them can explain and can understand the environmental change has been happening in this area for women and children, even though maybe some of them cannot clearly, may not able clearly state that as climate change, but they understand this kind of environmental change happened. And the disaster occurred as more than 2/3 of women felt even themselves or family, they very familiar with like sudden shocking disaster like flood, abrasion, but also kind of slow onset disaster like a tidal flood, or we call it here as ROP. They also indicates that they understand about the warning sign for disaster, but only 28% of them. So most of the women, especially children, they cannot clearly comprehend what should they do when disaster come. So the kind of early warning for these women and children is not become so clear based on our survey result. Last but not least is related with the spatial planning policy in Indonesia. We call it RTRW. We found that as the climate change is not in detail include the issues like the sea level rise, and how this should be mitigated in the spatial plan is not really well developed in the spatial planning document. So I think this is also important for us to be mentioned here, because we believe that spatial planning becomes the proactive action that be needed to reduce the risk climate change for the long term. And yeah, from this slide, we try to give some ideas on the experience for the women and children about the flood event that has been happening in the area. So, for example, in Pluit, Panjangwetan, Jeruk Sari, and so on, as you can see from the tables, the flood water level are various among the areas. The worst reached 2 meters in Jakarta and in Demak, and they experience several types of flood, as already indicated in earlier slides. Regular like tidal flood, but also a sudden big flood that could come like once a year, more than the inundation that they might experience in a more daily basis in some areas. Yeah. Okay, so with this, I will pass to Amy to continue the presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. That's working, yeah. Yeah. So the BRIN team did an amazing job in scoping the current policy landscape in Indonesia and identified some current policy challenges. So the first of which is that disaster management law is an important law to address disaster, but does not currently categorize sea level rise or land subsidence as a disaster. That slow onset disasters such as sea level rise have not been a priority for local government. Most of the response focuses on hard infrastructure with little focus on social justice issues and other solutions such as nature-based solutions. It was identified that there's a no retreat policy, which is available to accommodate people who are forced to be relocated because of sea level rise. There is no integrated development plan to overcome sea level rise. No priority scale for responding to the most vulnerable and damaged areas impacted by sea level rise in coastal areas, and a gap in policy relating to adaptive social security to accommodate the impacts of climate change. So with our project's strong focus on women and children, we've really tried to amplify their voices in our presentation today. So we found that women and children face a double burden when it comes to climate change. Not only do they face the impacts of the changing climate and extreme weather, but they also face increased in child marriages, child or compelled labour, and domestic and family violence. And it wasn't an explicit focus of our research to pick up child marriage or domestic and family violence. It got raised organically in the study. All women use their income to provide for the family through education for the children, as well as food for the family, transportation. Often the women's jobs were below the minimum wage, and they were working under pressure. There were negative impacts in the work that they did, and working in the home industries, it was identified that it lacked adequate health protections and industry protections as well. Women in the low income brackets tended to experience the most adverse working conditions and were often more engaged in hazardous labour compared to other income brackets. And where we measured hazardous labour, that was labour with injuries, smoke inhalation, repetitive movements over a long period of time, and working long hours. When we did the roundtables with our government stakeholders, it really highlighted that there is little protection for workers in the home industries in terms of workplace health and safety and workplace rights. And that's where the majority of our women worked. So we have a quote from one of our participants on screen, which just says, "Yesterday, my husband didn't go to work. He couldn't go because the vehicle would sink and not work. We went through the flood to buy groceries for my store. What can I do? I have children to feed." Just highlighting the pressures to continue working long hours to support families. So this table just shows a little bit more about the hazardous labour that we were discussing per income bracket. So this is the lowest income bracket and shows just over 25% of our respondents were doing repetitive tasks at a fast pace for hours, which is an indicator of compelled labour. Between 20 and 25% were too tired to pay attention at work due to the long hours that they worked. We also saw between 15 and 20% having stomach aches at work, which is a sign of poor health and stress as well. For the children, we saw a real intersection between climate change and then the cumulative impacts on their well-being. So the graphic on the right really shows that the increased flooding was leading to a loss of income in the home and increased expenses, which was increasing poverty for the family, which then often saw school non-attendance and then an increase in child labour. So almost all children who took part in our survey worked, so that's 92.8%. And the majority of children indicated that they worked every day. So that was also in terms of they worked and balanced that with education, but we were seeing school disengagement or inattention at school during that working as well. To try and highlight how interconnected everything is, we put together just a little case study from Mawar Anke. So we had a 10-year-old girl who had never attended school due to her family's inability to afford school uniforms. Having been asked to work by her parents, she was working every day peeling mussels for 21 to 30 hours per week. She worked at home where it flooded daily and did not know who to turn to for help during floods. She reported having stomach aches or headaches and feeling downhearted, tearful, nervous, or easily scared while working. She had difficulty paying attention at work due to tiredness and had been hurt at work while peeling the clams. We also asked children about their hopes for the future, and she reported that she was not hopeful. So our survey results highlighted that the youngest children were often the greatest at risk of child exploitation. So we measured this against the working guidelines. So we can see that 44.8% of children between 10 and 12 are currently working above that recommended 1 hour per week guidelines, with some working over 40 hours per week. And it was recognised in our round tables. There's a quote from the participant on screen that the underage labour often occurs because parents have lost their jobs due to climate change. And that was specific to Pekalongan. We also asked women and children about empowerment, and less than a third of women felt that women were represented in decision-making bodies, and less than 25% of women felt that their ideas to improve flood handling have been heard in decision-making. Just over 50% of women felt that they had sufficient literacy, autonomy, and access to technology to use interventions and programs effectively. And about a third felt that their social roles, including child rearing, feeding, impacted their access to interventions. And often in the government roundtables, it was brought up about the need for breastfeeding rooms to support women's engagement. The roundtable discussions, we asked our participants how often they get to have a focus on women and children in these discussions, and it was reported that it was rare. Our study highlighted how interconnected everything is. So while health, education, and poverty weren't an explicit focus of the study, they became increasingly apparent as we went along. And it is a really important focus that has emerged on health. So only 15% of our survey respondents reported feeling healthy at the moment. So we identified throughout the surveys with women and children, and also from the roundtable data, there were a lot of health impacts associated with climate change, which include diarrhea, flu, skin irritations, sunburn, the stunted growth of children. We also saw those impacts on child safety of children drowning, which came up in the roundtable discussions as well, due to unsafe conditions in the villages. We also saw increased stress. Children were quite fearful of the floodwaters and had a lot of nightmares due to those unsafe conditions as well. And women reported stunning of children due to the economic impacts of climate change and their need to work. Livelihood was more of a focus of our study, but it became a really strong focus with the intersection between labour and migration that we were holding. So we saw really clearly that sea level rise is impacting traditional livelihoods with the loss of the main livelihood in the agricultural sector, so either farming or fisheries, also changing the fishing patterns, and those damaged ponds and reduced fishing cabinet. And this has resulted in women and children being forced to work in the informal sector, but has also seen change social relations in the home as well. Participants in the roundtables really clearly articulated that there's a lack of alternate skills. So people who have been farmers and maybe have been farmers for generations don't have those new skills to adapt to a new livelihood opportunity in the green economy, and that's placing increased pressure on the home, and really highlights a role for capacity building. We also saw that social cohesion impacts those decisions to stay with the community rather than migrate, especially when livelihoods change. So people didn't want to leave their communities or were making decisions due to wanting to keep their old livelihoods and not having the skills to change, but also because they were tied really tightly to their community. And that social cohesion could be a real strength in any responses. The last intersecting issue I'll talk through before handing to Bileli is education. So we've touched on education a little bit, but we saw that as a real emergent finding around why children were being forced into labor and having that disengagement from school, which then inhibited their ability to develop other skills and alternate livelihoods and break kind of a cycle. So we saw an increase in number of children leaving school, and that was linked to changes in livelihoods, difficulties in accessing education, and increased poverty in the areas. And really practical things like not being able to get to school because of broken transport due to the coastal flooding, the seawater harming those motorbikes. So we saw school disengagement, sometimes due to the registration linked to migration. So especially in Jakarta, when newcomers had come, their registration might inhibit them from attending school. We saw school disengagement due to poverty, and that included not being able to afford uniforms, but also the stigma of poverty. So we had children reported being bullied at school, so not attending school. And we had women reporting stigma around poverty in their workplace and bullying around that as well. And we also saw school disengagement due to children feeling that they had to work to support their families and that lack of transportation. So with that, I will hand over to Buleli to talk through migration and our recommendations.
Thank you, Amy. So I will continue our presentation. So our next focus for the second phase proposal for KONEKSI is on migration. So probably in this forum, we would like to have like input from all of stakeholders about the migration issue. So regarding migration, actually, there's many terms of migration. There's migration, mobility, displacement. So probably there's so many other term. So in our law, there is no law actually explicitly responding to forced migration as a result of sea level rise and land subsidence. Particularly, we analyze in the disaster management law that this law is more focused on migration to the previous place. So there is no relocation to the new place in this disaster management law. So therefore, with this current law, there is lack of guidance for, especially for a local government, how to respond to this problem of relocation, human mobility, migration. So this has caused like maybe a little bit maybe violation of human rights or a slow response from the government. Like we interview some of the community in Simonet village. They stay in that temporary place for 4 years before the government can relocate them to the new place. In addition, we interview also some of the people relocate in the bank of the river, so they should live there for many years. But this is actually they cannot build the permanent housing, but instead now they forced to build permanent housing there in the bank of the river. So in this lack of the law of to respond to disaster management, we have like lacking uniformity between the government. Like in Jakarta, in Central Java, they have a different kind of policy in addressing this migration. So there are differences in relocation policy and program regarding this initiative. For example, there is no law that guidance how to have like the availability of the relocation of the land. So the local government needs to find a long time to find the suitable land for this relocation. So there is no reserved land for this relocation area. So we probably we propose that there will be a new law or regulation that address how the local government should have like a reserve plan for this relocation as a result of migration. Fewer women also feel that they migrated, they don't really represented in decision making for this migration. So women who migrate were less likely to believe that women have same access to education, training opportunities as men. Like we interview some of the people in Dombo village. They previously this woman have the a store like they have like a shop, but then when they move their livelihood, their place to this new place, they don't have anything to do except like become a laborer. So there's a shifting of livelihood of this woman. So women also feel they have a strong feeling of exclusion in the relocated community, and there is a relocation fatigue, means that actually in Java is already full. I mean, the land is already no more land available. Like they already have a status of this land, so we have a scarcity of the relocation. So probably this is become a main challenge. How if this like the migration problem continues. So this migration is impacting the feeling of social cohesion. Some of the people migrated is not like one of Duku will migrate in the same place, but they are like scatter some to this. I mean, they have their own choice. So this created a feeling social cohesion between them. So next slide. With the mobility, we investigate like different kind of mobility in Jakarta, Semarang, Pekalongan, and Demak. In Jakarta, we see that the migration mobility is resulted as the urbanization from Cirebon, Tegal, Indramayu. So these fishermen are they move to Jakarta to find the fish in the near Jakarta, and then they settle in illegal settlement. But then the government decide to make them legal in this place, and then they make it like we visit like Muara Angke yesterday, Amy, and then the government built like rumah panggung, floating house, and I think this is really, I mean, a good solution for them. Like now they are being recognized by the government, and then they have like they build this proper housing for the all the communities there. So regarding the option whether they want to stay or whether they want to relocate, based on our roundtable discussion with the community, most of them are prepared to stay in their place location. So migration is the last option they want to take. Like they we interview some of the people, and they say if the road's still there, they will stay there. They will not move to the other place. So if the road's still in there, so they can have movement mobility. But if there's no road, they cannot see road, they should move. So this is the I mean the parameter of the people how to move or not to move. So the preference to stay, it is because of the livelihood. People tend to stay there because of there's no other choice. They need to stay there because their livelihood is fishermen, so they need to close to the area of disaster, even if it's disaster every day. So in another addition is their social cohesion, because their family there, because they're all the bigger family there, so they choose to stay in that location. Social connection, livelihood, and resources is one of the consideration in moving or not moving. Next slide. So in the recommendation for the climate change, we propose that the government need to revise disaster management law, or the government need to have a special law on climate change, which include sea level rise and land subsidence as a disaster category, and including sea level rise and land subsidence in contingency plan. Our research also has the evidence based on why this law is needed, with ongoing advocacy and collaborative conversation already underway. We already visited the Bapanas, the disaster management, right? And they say they need RT/RW that are consider the land subsidence and sea level rise. And we also consult with the BNPB. BNPB said they already have a draft of a revision of a disaster management law. So probably perhaps we can approach them to push more on to include this problem of sea level rise and land subsidence in the category of index of disaster. And we need to prepare a holistic climate change law, which is accommodate the impact of climate change due to sea level rise, and policy option for effective adaptation to sea level rise and land subsidence. Like the current law is more sectoral, and then there's no integration between the ministry, and probably with the giant seawall that will be in place in the next government, probably we need some kind of legal foundation, legal basis for this adaptation option. So there should be there's no maladaptation for this problem of sea level rise and land subsidence. So social protection also needed to include to recognize that the local community has a double burden in the impact of climate change. So we have interviewed with the ministry social and they propose actually the local government or the central government level need to have a regulation that stated that there is a special aid social security for people impacted by climate change. So whether this is possible or not possible, so we need to have to examine or to analyze this. So in addition, there's a coordination and collaboration which is needed across ministries to ensure local community engagement in the climate change adaptation and resilience strategies that include a focus on women and children. Social adaptation policy need to be included when responding to climate change. In terms of the livelihood and migration, we need to prepare regulation implementation at the local level, how to govern the and system for handling post migration due to climate change. This is include providing migration destination location, which is currently it is difficult to find land for the local community. When we interview the local community, they want just to stay near the area that they are left. Like they don't want to move to Kalimantan or to Sumatra. So most of the people of Java, they want still in that place. So there's a place attachment actually in local community. So they want that this community migration is conducted without interrupting the livelihood that have been established. We interview some of people in Tambak Lorok, they just want to stay in near Tambak Lorok, so the government then install the housing near Tambak Lorok. So we need to synergize the authority between various vertical and horizontal agency in the relocation and residential development for affected communities. Prepare regulation to govern social security access for women working in informal sector. This is very important. Like many of the women in the coastal area working in informal sector, and they don't get provide enough social security for their livelihood. Improve effectiveness of monitoring and law enforcement in the workplace business sector who violate the labor laws. And we need like a greater focus of social development and maintaining social cohesion. There's a flexibility in migration responses, allowing for different solutions to be implemented dependent on the needs of the community. And next slide. So in the social protection, women and children, actually, community consultation with women and children in social planning or social policy need to be developed. Like the current, actually there is a community consultation, but maybe the voice of women are very limited. So we need to improve the effectiveness of economic women's empowerment, which is we interview some of the local community. They say they need like probably the social media, for example, to have more their livelihood, like they extend the market of access, for example. So we need to have like women empowerment, including training, soft law, marketing, and strengthening the support of group of women in communities in coastal area. There's a pathways related to well-being, safety, and economic empowerment need to be mapped and matched against formal and community intervention, community level research into alternative livelihood. Like there's many as a result of this sea level rise and land subsidence, many of people have kerja serabutan or unemployment, unemployment terselubung gitu. So with this, we need to have like alternative livelihood for them. Like for in mangrove, we found that some of the women have like batik in mangrove or cracker or coffee. So there's other alternative livelihood. So women also need to have like a voice in this like choice of their livelihood. In the national in the term of migration, actually currently the migration is not really become a national problem. So if this migration is not a national problem, so the response is only from the local government problem. So maybe we need to higher up the like the priorities that maybe migration is now become like a national problem. So all the effort is prioritized from the national level government, like because like we interview some of the government officials say that the housing is now become the authority of with the decentralization, the authority is become central local government. So if we make it this like national disaster, probably the central government can have like more funding for that. So we need to have like empowerment and community capacity building needs to be included in the strategies for others adaptation. Probably that's all for our presentation. So we need feedback from all of the stakeholder to make this like our report more to have like a tangible output from this research. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, Bu Emi and Bu Lely, I forgot to mention before back to Pak Feby that actually all the survey, the local, we include the IKUPI, the local NGO, and also Patiro during the process. So IKUPI is Inisiatif Kota untuk Perubahan Iklim, local NGO based in Semarang, and also Patiro based in Jakarta. They help us to distribute the questionnaires, doing the interview, and also arranging the roundtables because they understand more the local dynamics. I just want to add that point. Thank you, and back to Pak Feby.
Thank you, Prof. Wiwi, Bu Lely, and Bu Emi for the presentation, for keeping to the time as planned. I think that's really important. So next, we would like to invite our discussants to provide feedback and comments or suggestions, ideas, questions. So the first discussion, so we have Pak Muhammad Raihan Firlandi, who is the head of Institutional Partnership and Publication of Minister of Public Works and Housing. So we have Pak Raihan on Zoom, I think. So we would like to invite each discussion to provide maximum 10 minutes, if that's okay. So 10 minutes to provide their comments, ideas. I think that will be appreciated. So do you have Pak Raihan Firlandi on Zoom?
Good afternoon.
Oh, yes. Okay. How are you, Pak?
I'm good, but sorry, I'm on the field right now, so maybe I hope my sound didn't any distraction on this Zoom meeting, maybe.
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay. Thank you so much, Pak.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity for our ministry to give some input or some comments for this project. First of all, I would like to apologize. I cannot attend the meeting offline, so I joined this meeting by online to represent my director for Settlement Area Development, Ministry of Public Works and Housing. So this project is very good. It's very useful for us in Ministry of Public Works and Housing because we also build the infrastructure, settlement infrastructure by this mission. In our experience, we are handling the slum location that is work on Java province also, like earlier said in Pekalongan, and then in Kendal, and then in Pekalongan Regency. We have a lot of examples to slum location that works in Java province that also mitigate the climate change and also to mainstreaming the gender matters. In our experience also that settlements that can be handled based on the special planning regulation also. So we can see how the suitable as settlements and located in legal land. So our approach in this to support the climate change issues, the gender issues, we also see the spatial planning regulation. And then the community participation is also one of the important things that we highlight on our project because it is we have to build our infrastructure to be universal design. So men and women, and then the children and the elder also can access the infrastructure that built by the Ministry of Public Works and Housing. As we can see, most of the people who benefit from the infrastructure for the slum areas are on the banks of the rivers who make living as a fisherman, settle in illegal land for housing, and are affected by floods. So this is the important matters that we have to look up to because the climate change is make the have influence to the infrastructure that we build. We also have the experience about the infrastructure that built adapted to the daily needs of the local community and then solve the problem related to the floods. Examples such as drainage construction and submersible pump provision, boat mooring, neighborhood road, or a river inspection road. Maybe the most important things of the handling of slums allocated on the banks of the river collaborates with various parties, both of the regional government to relocate to safer settlements and have gone through the study of the for the environment as well as BWS in our ministry for the construction of the embankments or river revitalization to minimize the risk of flooding. And then, the involvement of women and local communities in the development is one of the implementation that implement in Ministry of Public Works and Housing. Because in our ministry, we have also the group for the gender issues. And then they have the contribution to see the welfare of the local community. And the necessary things for the policy is that can regulate the government, not only the central level, but also the community we need also the good cooperation between the government and the community itself in order to create a sustainable and suitable settlement. Because when we face the climate change and the gender issues, we need to assess the issues by the communities itself. Sometimes we have a planning that we make in the central area or central government, but it's not fitted to the it's not suitable to the needs for the community. So nowadays, the Ministry of Public Works and Housing also involve the community to raise their needs, and then this is one of the acts that we did in Ministry of Public Works and Housing. Maybe that's it from me. Later on, we will discuss something better. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Pak Raihan. So we will keep until all discussants provide their comments. So and then I will let you provide response. Okay. Thank you, Pak Raihan, and for your great comments and also inputs. Next, I would like to invite Ibu Franta Evelyn, disaster analyst from National Disaster Management Agency. And we have the avatar of Ibu Franta on the screen. The cartoon version of Ibu. Oh, there you go. You're not wearing glasses. Please, Ibu, you have 10 minutes to provide comments.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm so sorry that maybe I have missed some explanation from previous narasumber, but I want to tell a little bit some maybe this is that information, but more okay. Sorry. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, thank you for gathering here today to address a matter of paramount importance, climate change and its implication for disaster management. My name is Evelyn from National Disaster Management Authority Indonesia, and I work under of the Directorate of Disaster Risk Mapping and Evaluation. So I hope maybe my information due to this project will as we stand at the crossroads of environmental challenges and humanitarian needs. I think it's very crucial that we approach these issues with both urgency and sensitivity. Since the climate change is no longer as a distant threat, but a present reality influencing the frequency and intensity of natural disaster around the globe, maybe especially in Indonesia. From the rising sea levels to extreme weather events, the impact of climate change is profoundly felt by communities, and its repercussions are especially severe for vulnerable population, including women and children. So we see that women and children are often the most affected by climate change induced to disaster. Women, particularly in developing regions, bear the brunt of climate-related challenges due to their roles in managing household resources, and they often face a heightened risk during and after disasters. And the children, on the other hand, are particularly vulnerable due to their physical and developmental needs, and they frequently suffer long-term consequences in terms of health, education, and overall well-being. We see it during our job in the field, and addressing these challenges requires a strategic and inclusive approach. It is imperative that we integrate gender and age consideration into our disaster management strategies. So my focus on our effort here, maybe from this project, we can recommend that 4 efforts, maybe for this project. We would like to propose 5 steps. The first one is to risk assessment and planning, because our disaster risk assessment and planning processes must incorporate gender sensitive and child focused perspectives by understanding the unique vulnerabilities and needs of women and children. We can develop more effective and equitable disaster response strategies, and we can collaborate with other ministries, because for this time, BNPB do this risk analysis, including measure the capability of the communities and the government, as well as the public. But we found that this information is still on the different purpose. So I think this is the most important that we should recommend to the government. And the second one is capacity building and empowerment, because empowering women and educating children about climate change and disaster preparedness are vital steps. Women should be equipped with the knowledge and resources to play a proactive role in disaster management. And children should be provided with the tools to understand and cope with climate related challenges. And the third one is engaging with communities to develop localized solutions is very crucial. Women and children often have valuable insight into the specific risks and needs of their communities. Their involvement in decision-making processes ensures that solutions are more effective and sustainable. And the fourth one is about the support systems and services. Establishing support systems and services that address the specific needs of women and children during and after disaster is very essential too. This includes access to healthcare, education, and psychological support, which are critical for their recovery and resilience. Today, BNPB are holding the Adaptive Social Protection Program. Maybe this program will produce some of regulations and the funding, and as well as the funding due to adaptive social protection needs. The last one is about the advocacy and policy development. We must advocate for policies that address the intersection of climate change, disaster management, and gender equality. Effective policy frameworks should promote the inclusion of women and children in disaster preparedness and response efforts. So in conclusion, as we navigate the complex landscape of climate change and disaster management, maybe we have to remain steadfast in our commitment to protecting those who are vulnerable by prioritizing the needs of women and children based on the risk assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Evelyn, for the insightful comments. I think we can hear that a lot of keywords, a lot of when we discussed earlier, is a viable solution, potential viable solution, such as like adaptive social protections and etc. So I think I can see that our research team has taken a lot of notes. Thank you so much, Bu Evelyn, for your comments and input. So next, I would like to invite Pak Priyanto Rahmatullah to provide his comment and ideas, questions. Yeah, thank you, Pak Priyanto. Silakan.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Febi. Thank you for having me in this meeting, and thank you also for sharing the result of this research. Yeah. My first comment is we don't want that this research is end up in the table, right? But we have to think more about when we try to find the solution, cause on the climate change, So I think we need to improve this research, because you only focus on the impact, but not to find the cause of the problem, right? If you talk about the climate change, so some measures should be taken, not only for the government, but also in the ground level. I mean, people should also change, right? Because this is not only a government problem. Even this is not Indonesia problem. This is the global issues, right? So that's why maybe we can also improve this research, but as I don't know whether this research conducted through the discussion with Bappenas, because I never been consulted with this research, because you talk about the climate change, but you never go to my office. So this is a bit weird, right? So actually, there's a lot of research, regarding the climate resilience, as well as the impact to the people, right? For example, that even in our regulation, we start to regulate, to put the policy on resilience years ago, right? Not only now, but we continue now to our national development plan, for the next 20 years, and I think we're glad that this effort now is in our law, right, for the long-term development plan. So tackling this climate change, actually, as I said previously, we now put some indicators, and even the target to the provincial government, including Central Java, right? This is kind of the imperative policy from the central government to the provincial government. So it means that in the future there is no others measure, except instructed by the government, the central government. This is so many indicator actually. In the environmental issues, we have 5 indicators. One is for the intensity of the greenhouse gases emission, and then second is for the green economy. That's also including for the for example, the circular economy. Then for improving the quality of the environment, is also this is continued with the previous policy. Yeah. The other one is regarding um, the also the for the measuring the greenhouse emission gases. Yeah, but this is especially on um, the yearly cumulative and yearly emission. Yeah. And the last one is, this is the new one. Yeah. And this is why now our development plan now is, I can say that this is very green. Yeah. Because now we put also the biodiversity index. Yeah. That can be also implemented by the local government. So talking about the people, right? Especially in the coastal or in the uh, uh, vulnerable areas. Yeah. Now we also continue to implement what we call the climate resilient development policy. Yeah. This is not a new one. Yeah. The pembangunan pertahanan iklim, ya, in bahasa is not the new one. Yeah. But I think the progress is not good actually. Yeah. And that's why we need also support from all of the stakeholders. Yeah. Because now we also work to pass the presidential decree. Yeah. To boost our effort for tackling the climate disaster. Yeah. Caused by the climate change. And I think this is will also covered by some policy, including in the water sectors as well as for the coastal area. Yeah. But I think we still need more effort on that. Yeah, because I think even the magnitude of the fund is not so promising. So other is, I think we need to also I mean, with the university involvement, yeah, with the research institution, yeah, I think you can also promote to how the people can change their using of what we call resource efficiency. Yeah, we always see that the people still, using the plastic one. This is, this is it's not good, right? Also, you in the the poor people society, yeah, they use resource in, more reckless, right? Using the sachet, right? This is small, but this is very important, because using, let's say, the sachet, yeah, they cannot be recycled. Yeah. But but now government also think about how to tackling this issue. Yeah. Through what we call the circular economy, and Bapenas actually just launched the roadmap, yeah, for the circular economy, that is include for the 9R or 10R. Yeah. This is, it's very progressive one. Yeah. Ambitious one, because now is let's say the KLHK still using 3R, right? But we need more than 3R, because we think that you know, the economy circle is not only the waste issue. Yeah, this is kind of the resource efficiency. Okay, others is, I think, we agree that on the spatial planning, yeah, or RTRW, yeah, I think also this should be strengthened, yeah. Many cases that the using of the, the land, yeah, is not strict to the what we plan, right? And so many change of the land use also causing for the climate change. Other is, I think, as far as I know, that we never recognize the forced labor, yeah, in our development terms, yeah. But of course, in our development plan, yeah, we recognize the gender issues and the marginalized group, yeah, to be, tackling, yeah, for for making them more important in our development implementation, yeah. So we also emphasize several things, yeah, to protect the women and children, right? But of course, we need the local government, yeah. So this is also kind of the how we deregulate the regulation, yeah. Ibu Kepala Pusat pasti you have understand that our regulation now is hyper regulation. So many regulation that cannot accelerate our development. Instead of accelerate, they they tied our hands, right? So maybe if we can also improve this document, yeah, this research, yeah, maybe the team can recommend some more workable workable action that can be input put it in our development plan. This is this is the right time, because now we in the phase of formulating of the RPGMN, yeah, the medium term development plan is 5 years, yeah. I know that you already thoughts the issue about the giant seawall, yeah, but we need to be more evidence based approach, yeah. So this effort, these activities will also tackling for the climate change, yeah, the subsidence of the land, yeah, for and other things, yeah, cause apa to address the disaster about caused by the climate change. Yeah, I think putting the local government tadi di is also is very urgent, right? The university, for example, Diponegoro University also can be, play a significant role on these issues, yeah. We work with the Bapeda Jawa Tengah, we work with the Dinas, yeah. But so many homework that can be, done, yeah, because changing the mindset is also, is still the issues, yeah. But now we also Bappenas also have initiative to establish the Green Academy, which can be used for increasing the capacity for the local government, just to make them understand about the issues, and to share the knowledge about how they can measure, some indicators as well as the target. Others, we need also to think about the institutional arrangement. So I don't see this issue in this research, but I don't know because I don't receive the paper yet. But this is very important one because the labor of division in the local government sometimes is not clear. For example, that they never refuse to manage the waste. Right? This is kind of issue that now is frequently occurs. Waste is now become a problem. But we never see any progress initiative from the local government because they think that this is the central government issues, right? Because about the funding, about the facilities, But I think that's why we need to increase their understanding about how they can also be part of reducing the emission cost that cause the climate change. I think that's for me, Pak. I know that's so many things that I can raise, but let me stop here. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Priyanto. A lot of useful inputs for us. I think this is really good, so then we can align the recommendations and the result of our study, and so then something that can be more, recommendation aligned with the government. I think that is really important. Thank you, and then maybe we can also do a follow-up in a discussion with Pak Priyanto later on, inshallah. Thank you, Pak Priyanto. And next, I would like to invite Ibu Dr. Anda Eko Novi Arianti Rahayu Damayanti, who is representing Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, and Ibu Eko Novi will be using Bahasa Indonesia. So then maybe we have Prof. Wiwi and Mbak Laili as well to understand what she will be saying. I think that should be fine. Thank you, Ibu. Silakan, Ibu.
Baik, Bapak. Ya.
Oops, maybe terganggu koneksinya. Ibu Eko Novi mungkin nggak bisa kedengeran ya. Saya ngomong sama orang yang freeze.
Ya. Izin Pak, apakah suara saya terdengar Bapak?
Ya, sekarang sudah Ibu. Terima kasih, silakan.
Baik. Oke, baik. Terima kasih. Mohon maaf saya menyampaikan tanggapan dalam bahasa Indonesia. Tadi saya sudah mendengarkan beberapa hal terkait dengan kajian yang dilakukan oleh BRIN, dan memang yang disampaikan BRIN itu juga relevan bagaimana dampak terkait dengan migrasi dan climate change itu sudah disampaikan oleh BRIN apakah dampaknya. Namun kemudian kami ingin menyampaikan beberapa tanggapan bahwa ketika kita bicara isu gender atau kita bicara kesetaraan gender, itu artinya kita mengintegrasikan perspektif gender itu ke dalam seluruh program pembangunan, termasuk di dalamnya adalah perubahan iklim. Kita tahu bahwa sudah ada komitmen-komitmen gender dalam pembangunan. Kita punya dokumen-dokumen internasional terkait dengan SIDO, PPFA, itu juga ada cakupannya terkait dengan perubahan iklim. Kemudian SDGs, itu walaupun kita ada di SDGs kelima, tetapi bagaimana mengintegrasikan kesetaraan gender itu di dalam seluruh tujuan SDGs. Dan kalau kita bicara perubahan iklim, itu ada di SDGs yang terakhir 13, SDGs 17, dan sebagainya. Kemudian kita juga punya Impres 9 tahun 2000 tentang pengaruh utamaan gender di semua sektor pembangunan. Artinya seluruh stakeholder baik pemerintah pusat maupun daerah mengintegrasikan perspektif gender itu dalam seluruh program pembangunan mereka. Dan kesetaraan gender ini juga sudah masuk di dalam RPJMN 2020-2024 menjadi salah satu arus utama dari 4 arus utama yang lain. Kemudian kesetaraan gender, masyarakat keluarga berkualitas dan masyarakat inklusi itu juga sudah masuk di RPJPN 2025-2045, di mana integrasi gender itu juga masuk ke seluruh tujuan-tujuan dari Indonesia Emas, termasuk di dalamnya adalah perubahan iklim. Nah, kemudian di dalam perubahan iklim sendiri juga sudah sangat jelas disebutkan di Undang-Undang 16 2016 tentang ratifikasi Perjanjian Paris, itu sudah ada terkait dengan kesetaraan gender. Dalam melakukan aksi iklim harus menghormati, mempromosikan, dan mempertimbangkan kewajiban masing-masing, serta kesetaraan gender, pemberdayaan perempuan, dan keadilan lintas generasi. Bahkan di dalam dokumen INDC itu juga sudah masuk terkait dengan kesetaraan gender, pemberdayaan perempuan, dan kesetaraan lintas generasi. Sehingga kemudian kita mengintegrasikan seluruh perspektif gender itu ke dalam seluruh tahapan-tahapan pembangunan. Nah, bagaimana kita bisa mengintegrasikan perspektif ini adalah yang pertama memang kita perlu adanya data terpilah. Karena data terpilah inilah yang kemudian bisa menjadi alat analisis, bisa menjadi dasar untuk melakukan analisis dalam pembangunan aksi iklim. Kemudian analisis gender itu juga bisa dilakukan melalui data terpilah. Sehingga kemudian ketika kita memiliki data terpilah, kita melakukan analisis, maka integrasi gender ini juga masuk di dalam dokumen-dokumen perencanaan, baik dokumen perencanaan jangka panjang, menengah, maupun jangka pendek yang tahunan itu yang ada di pusat dan daerah. Nah, ini memang integrasi ini juga masuk di dalam berbagai dokumen perencanaan di daerah terkait salah satunya adalah perubahan iklim. Tadi disebutkan ada Patiro yang memiliki kontribusi di dalam sini dan memang Patiro juga banyak punya aksi-aksi dan punya kerja-kerja terkait dengan perubahan iklim dan memang Patiro memberikan rekomendasi terkait dengan aksi iklim ini bagaimana proses penganggaran itu juga masuk ke dalam menyusun perencanaan dan penganggaran itu juga memperhatikan akses ketimpangan gender atau melakukan analisis gender termasuk di dalam aksi perubahan iklim. Ini juga merupakan rekomendasi Patiro yang juga bisa kita lakukan ketika kita melakukan mengintegrasikan perspektif gender ini ke dalam seluruh stakeholder. Nah, di dalam dokumen penganggaran sendiri memang bersama dengan PKF kami memiliki yang namanya penganggaran aksi iklim. Jadi bagaimana mendorong pelaksanaan mitigasi dan adaptasi perubahan iklim yang responsif gender, itu sudah ada pedoman teknis penandaan anggaran perubahan iklim yang responsif gender. Jadi penandaan anggaran untuk perubahan iklim itu juga bisa dilakukan analisis gender di dalamnya sehingga juga bisa menjadi double tagging yang dilakukan oleh kementerian lembaga. Dan ini memang sudah diacu di dalam Peraturan Menteri Keuangan terkait dengan penyusunan rencana kerja anggaran kementerian lembaga untuk tahun 2025 di PMK 62 tahun 2023 tentang perencanaan anggaran, pelaksanaan anggaran, serta akuntansi dan pelaporan keuangan. Nah, di sini ada isu-isu tematik, termasuk salah satunya adalah terkait dengan mitigasi perubahan iklim dan juga anggaran yang responsif gender. Kami dari Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak bersama dengan Kementerian Lingkungan Hidup dan Kehutanan bersama dengan juga berbagai stakeholder menindaklanjuti 5 work program terkait dengan perubahan iklim. Itu kami juga tahun kemarin menyusun rencana aksi nasional gender dan perubahan iklim. di dalam rencana aksi nasional ini masuk terkait dengan isu-isu adaptasi dan mitigasi untuk perubahan iklim, di mana kita ingin membangun kapasitas, menguatkan kapasitas, kemudian ada upaya-upaya untuk mendorong perempuan sebagai leader atau sebagai mereka sebagai champion terkait dengan perubahan iklim, dan kemudian bagaimana pola-pola koordinasi dan penguatan kelembagaan terkait dengan isu-isu perubahan iklim, juga termasuk bagaimana sarana implementasi yang cakep gender hingga pada pemantauan dan pelaporan. Nah, inilah yang juga menjadi bentuk komitmen pemerintah Indonesia untuk melaksanakan 5 work program yang disampaikan pada COP yang waktu itu di Mesir dan juga di Dubai di tahun 2023. Tahun ini sedang kami lakukan penyusunan laporan terkait dengan gender dan perubahan iklim, dan ini akan kami integrasikan bersama dengan kementerian lembaga terkait. Ini menjadi penting karena kita perlu menguatkan perempuan. Jadi ada penguatan peran perempuan itu menjadi penting, bagaimana pemberdayaan perempuan dan kelompok rentan dalam aksi iklim, kemudian bagaimana upaya-upaya peningkatan kapasitas tentang kesetaraan gender melalui pelatihan dan pendidikan, dan juga yang tidak kalah penting adalah bagaimana pelibatan laki-laki di dalam mendorong perempuan untuk mereka bisa mendorong perempuan, mereka menjadi agen perubahan, mereka bisa mengikuti proses-proses pemberdayaan, sehingga kemudian konsep ini menjadi tidak hanya perempuan yang dikuatkan, tapi juga bagaimana kita juga memberikan pemahaman kepada laki-laki bahwa upaya-upaya penguatan dan pemberdayaan perempuan di dalam aksi iklim ini juga menjadi hal yang sangat penting. Nah, di samping itu, ketika kita bicara di level komunitas, kami memiliki program yang namanya Desa Ramah Perempuan dan Peduli Anak. Aksi iklim itu sangat bisa terintegrasi dengan Desa Ramah Perempuan dan Peduli Anak. Karena ini adalah bagaimana kita mengimplementasikan upaya-upaya untuk pemberdayaan perempuan dan perlindungan anak itu mulai dari level desa. Termasuk itu adalah aksi iklim, termasuk bagaimana upaya-upaya pemberdayaan ekonomi, mitigasi, dan adaptasi terkait dengan perubahan iklim. Jadi kalaupun mereka misalnya mengalami rob, kemudian mereka sendiri tidak bisa keluar dari rumah. Nah, tadi yang disampaikan ada bagaimana upaya-upaya untuk menanam di lahan pekarangan, tapi yang lebih penting adalah tidak hanya menanam, tapi mengolah hasil pangan itu kemudian menjadi lebih bermakna dan kemudian menjadi usaha-usaha produktif yang bisa dimiliki oleh perempuan. Itu salah satunya, itu juga bisa dilakukan. Dan ini bisa terintegrasi dengan program kami di Desa Ramah Perempuan dan Peduli Anak, karena ada indikator-indikator yang terkait dengan pemberdayaan perempuan bidang ekonomi, kemudian juga indikator penguatan kapasitas kelompok perempuan, termasuk salah satunya mereka untuk isu aksi perubahan iklim. Nah, terkait dengan anak, kami memiliki Forum Anak Nasional di Kementerian PPPA, dan sudah ada keterlibatan Forum Anak Nasional untuk aksi iklim. Jadi Forum Anak ini mereka bersama-sama menyampaikan advokasi dan kemudian edukasi kepada peer group-nya untuk terkait dengan aksi-aksi perubahan iklim. Forum Anak ini juga memiliki kampanye yang menyoroti dampak perubahan iklim terhadap anak-anak di perkotaan. Kemudian mereka juga mempromosikan penggunaan produk yang dapat didaur ulang terkait dengan perubahan iklim. Kemudian tadi disampaikan ada transportasi, jadi bagaimana mereka juga mengadvokasi penggunaan transportasi umum untuk perjalanan ke sekolah, jadi mengadvokasi daerah, perangkat daerah untuk mereka juga bisa bagaimana mereka yang terdampak perubahan iklim ini juga bisa mengakses transportasi untuk bisa mereka tetap bersekolah. Nah, kemudian meningkatkan kesadaran tentang perubahan iklim di komunitas mereka. Karena mereka tahu kalau terjadi perubahan iklim dampaknya itu tidak hanya kepada perempuan, anak juga terdampak. Tadi disampaikan anak menjadi pekerja anak, kemudian anak juga terdampak khususnya anak perempuan terkait dengan fasilitas sarana prasarana untuk sanitasi air bersih itu juga terdampak pada anak. Nah, bagaimana juga mereka meningkatkan melakukan advokasi kepada kelompok-kelompok mereka untuk peningkatan kesadaran terkait dengan perubahan iklim. Jadi lebih pada mereka memberikan dukungan bagaimana kalau terjadi perubahan iklim, kalau misalnya memberikan pemahaman kepada kelompok-kelompok orang tua yang ada di lingkungan mereka mereka memerlukan sanitasi, mereka memerlukan air bersih, mereka memerlukan transportasi ketika anak-anak ini terdampak pada perubahan iklim. Nah, ini mungkin sedikit yang bisa kami sampaikan dari Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak. Namun memang perlu kita pahami bersama bahwa terkait dengan perubahan iklim, perempuan itu ketika bermigrasi juga perempuan memiliki dampak yang lebih banyak daripada laki-laki, karena kerentanan gender dari perempuan itu juga menjadikan mereka mengalami kekerasan. Ketika terjadi perpindahan juga mereka mengalami diskriminasi dan sebagainya. Dan kemudian mereka juga ketika suaminya bermigrasi juga mereka mengalami dampak terkait dengan ekonomi dan sebagainya. Nah, ini juga aspek-aspek sosial budaya ini juga mempengaruhi perempuan dan anak terkait dengan dampak perubahan iklim. Sehingga mungkin kami ingin menyampaikan bahwa integrasi gender kita perlu memiliki data terpilah terkait dengan akses, partisipasi, kontrol, dan manfaat terhadap perempuan dan laki-laki dalam berbagai program pembangunan terkait dengan perubahan iklim ini menjadi sangat penting. Itu mungkin Bapak yang dapat kami sampaikan dari Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Ibu Ekonovi, banyak tadi masukannya. Nanti kami akan secara langsung we'll update you what she's saying. I think that was so good in terms of how we can align again with the Ministry of Women Empowerment. And then terima kasih Ibu Ekonovi untuk memberikan komentarnya tadi. Again, last but not least, we have Pak Laude to Pak Laude, more than welcome to provide your comments, and thank you, Pak.
Terima kasih banyak. Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitations to the Partnership for Governance Reforms and myself. Congratulations to Brin and Griffith and University of Diponegoro for the early finding of the research. I do not have many comments because everybody already say it, but I think I just want to emphasize the most important things on the finding, and I think need re-emphasis. Number one, you stated in the finding that sea level rise and land subsidence on the coast area has resulted in the loss and mainland livelihood, agriculture, etc., etc. Average of sea level rise in Java, 1.2 centimeter per year. So not that high. But, and only a few people who actually brave to say it, the average of the land subsidence in Java, especially in northern coast, it is up to 15 to 20 centimeter per year. So I think this need to be re-emphasized in the finding, because this is the main culprit of the tidal flood in Java. And Jakarta is considered the fastest thinking state in the world. In 1994, when I was a young lecturer, I'm old, for information. Young lecturers, I wrote an article in one of national newspapers, saving the groundwaters of Indonesia. I wrote that because there was a report in Tempo magazine in that years, the intrusion of sea waters already reached the Monas, the national monument of Jakarta. It was early 90s. So not many people actually say this. We are sinking. So if the government want to move the capital, yeah, they have that excuse to move it. And Java, we have 275 million people in Indonesia, and about 50% of them actually living in Java. The Java, for information, the population of West Java province, more than 45 million people, which is the combination of Australia and Malaysia in one small province. So I hope, because this is actually BRIN, if you guys actually say it and combine with Undip and Griffith, please do not use a flowering kind of language. Say it so. So because it has a weight, if BRIN actually say it so. This is my main message. The second, what is the main cause of land subsidence? I'm not engineer, I'm just bloody humble lawyers. But because I've been actually researching the legal aspect of it, so I kind of know about more than 30 years. So it is over exploitation of groundwater. I have a project in Pekalongan, so adaptation fund project, 6 million project, adaptation fund project with Pekalongan City, and we just have a new one on Green Climate Fund with Mercy Corps, covering Batang and Demak and the city of Pekalongan. We are talking about this. And when I say something to the mayor, for example, and including Pak Ganjar last year, I said, I think Jawa Tengah need to improve their water company capacity, because most people actually taking their fresh water from groundwaters. In the city of Pekalongan, even worse. The combination of batik and even agricultural water now, actually they're taken from groundwaters. This means it's actually, I don't know, but I think as a background and a finding, you need to put it. And for example, we have friends from many relevant ministry today, especially from Bappenas and the public works. The Jakarta Water Company, I think they serve less than 30% of the population. Semarang, the same. And as a former commissioner of Corruption Eradication Commissions, I can tell you it is very corrupt, because they use water company as a cash cow, because they always have money they have cash, fresh cash every month, because people are actually paying their water bill. I don't know, actually this building are using from water company or groundwaters. You check it, Leila. I mean, yeah, because the capacity of Jakarta to supply waters, it is very, very small. And it is not only in Jakarta or in Pekalongan, in Semarang, all over Indonesia. So I think that's, if you put some recommendation, I think we need, and the Bappenas, they have to put it, because this is the main culprit. There one. The second, the current policy challenges, because this is cross sectors, across departments, then you cannot just actually focusing on disaster management law as the main of the foundation of the research. You have to include the mining law, the revised mining law, which is actually a very bad one compared to the previous one. The job creation law, also very bad one, because it's actually changed the, for example, for our Australian friends, in the past, every big project actually need or requires by environmental law, management law, to have environmental impact assessment. But the job creation law come with the new definition. For national strategic project, they don't need environmental impact assessment. What a stupid policy. We suppose that if, and from Bapanas, I wanted to make it in record for this. For example, if you consider one particular project as national strategic project, it's supposed to be the exemplar of good project. And now every national project, it's become the disaster to the environment and also to the human right. So it is affecting a woman and children. So I hope you can kind of like try to expand it a little bit, not only focusing on disaster management law. The other relevant law, it is coastal and small island management, which is also important to be included. Of course, this particular research actually focusing in Jakarta and Central Java, but actually it also has a relevance to many other areas in Indonesia. Another one, this is actually a special, it may has actually, for example, a relation, but I kind of like, you need to double check. Women and children face a double burden when it's come to climate change. Not only do they face the impact of changing climate and extreme weather event, but also face an increased child marriage, the increased child marriage part. I think you have to double check it, because it may not actually caused by a climate change related issues, because this might actually caused by cultural issues. But to tell you the new good development in Indonesia, now the age limit for women to get married, it's 19 years. It's it is actually even higher compared to Australia, which is in Australia it's 18 years, but if you are 16, you can actually marry it with the approval or the permission from the court, for example. So this is kind of like good, but I think it is important. Lastly, I'm talking about the importation of the adaptation. We need, I don't know whether it will be covered or not, but I think it is important for us, like especially BRIN, University of Diponegoro and Griffith, to recommend something that the government needs to be cautious in solving problem, because we've seen some maladaptation in city of Pekalongan, for example. The first adaptation was actually they make like breakwater barriers on the few years. It is actually over flooded again, and they make it again, and they do not actually fix the root cause of like land subsidence. Also the combination of like natural based solutions and infrastructure solution, I think it is actually needed. So again, thank you very much for very good research, and I would love to read the complete or maybe the launching of the final result of the project. And I'm happy to see Leili now become, like, for your information, one of the examiner of his PhD thesis. Yeah, when he was in Macquarie Uni, I knew her since. Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm old. Yeah. But again, thank you very much and congratulations with this.
Thank you, Pa Laude. I think this is one factor why I like Pa Laude so much, because he's brutally honest comment. I think this is really good.
And you have to.
Thank you, Pa Laude. I think I would like to give sometimes for research team to provide response, and then after that, I would like to open, the floor to also provide comments and questions as well. Thank you, please.
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for your really considered feedback. We really appreciate it. We were hopeful that this stakeholder forum would be a way for us to refine our results and make sure that they were as useful to everyone as possible and aligned with current policy challenges and what you're seeing in your role. So we really appreciate the time you've given to giving us feedback. And we will certainly take it all on board and make sure we're really nuanced in our language as well. I've taken a lot of notes, but I think what I'd just like to start with was we will certainly incorporate into the recommendations a greater focus on how we could include behaviour change initiatives with the local community and engaging with the local government as well. I think what we've seen is quite a difference in each of the field sites. So as Landung beautifully said in a meeting yesterday, it's important to balance the local solutions with the national solutions as well, and how we make sure that it's a useful framework for both of those arenas as well. And we're really, really interested in how we can align with making sure that adaptation doesn't have those unintended consequences and is as useful to the local community as possible. And I'm really interested in that groundwater perspective and land subsistence as well. I will let Leili or Prof. Wiwi jump in as well. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for the feedback and response to our research from all ministry and Pak Laude from partnership. I think I absolutely agree with Bappenas that we need to look at to the ground level. This is the one that probably now is there's a shifting, like we need to have to look at to the root causes. I mean, to the ground level, how there's a community-based adaptation, community-based mangrove restoration, community-based disaster preparedness or resilience. So there's many community based that we need to like look at and maybe need to be strengthened in our future research. Like Amy, probably we need to have to look at this, like for the empowerment, how the initiative from the local community, how is the local champion actually. We already mapping some of the local champion. For example, in mangrove area, we have interview people from mangrove who get the Kalpataru from Pak Sururi and then from Brebes. So we look at to the best practices at the local level, how the community actually they have empowering themselves, and then they become a forefront actor in this climate change mitigation and adaptation, and the government need to support this local community as they also still face many challenges like skill or funding or other challenges. So I agree to that. And another comment is about the local government as the forefront actor. Yes, I agree to that, that we need to make how the local government become a forefront actor in the addressing the climate change mitigation and adaptation. Currently, what I think that central government still become the forefront actor. In my view, that currently central government is the main forefront actor in climate change mitigation adaptation. So probably, Amy, we need to have to look how we approach the local government to empower them to have a capacity building of the local government, and also strengthen their skill, authority, or other initiative from the local government to become a forefront actor in the climate change mitigation adaptation, especially as there's decentralization era. So we from the I'm not the gender issue, so I will not comment on that. So for the institutional arrangement, probably we need to have to look at more deeper on this, how this institutional arrangement, because there's so many, like in coastal area there's 22 probably laws that manage this coastal area. So probably there's so many institutions that involved in this and very complex issue, especially in the spatial planning. There's like a different interest between the local kabupaten, provincial level, and national level. There's a very different interest, and also the community and the company. So it's sometimes difficult to resolve. And for the Palaudi, I think, based on the IPCC, that this coastal flooding actually is a combination between climatic and also anthropogenic causes. So the anthropogenic, including the land subsidence is causing but the groundwater extraction, and there's the mangrove cutting also increasing the coastal flooding and erosion because of the people cutting this mangrove for aquaculture, shrimp culture in the 1980s, and now most of the coastal in Java is become like have a different coastal line. I mean, lautnya menjorok ke darat gitu. So this is because of the previous action of the economic economic between economic and then environment. So I think we need to highlight how to stop this subsidence with the, I think like we cannot make it like groundwater extraction illegal. Like for example, in India, they make it like groundwater extraction illegal, so they cannot do it. Like in Singapore also, groundwater extraction is illegal, so that they cannot do it. But the thing is, the government of Singapore, or they can provide the surface water to the community and to the companies. The thing is, Indonesia water company could not supply the water to the whole of the community, to the whole of industry, because industry is one of the one that needs water most for their activities. So we need to think about like how probably technology or something like to make like Singapore probably already have technology for I don't know, just make it salt water become fresh water. So we need also a technology how to solve this problem. So we cannot solve the problem from social science, but also from science. So there's a need collaboration from all stakeholders. So thank you, Palaudi, also for reminding us that we don't need to not need to focus on like disaster management law, but also there's a like bad mining law and job creation. Yes, I agree with that we need to also solve this problem of how to balance between the environmental protection and also economic development with this job creation law. And I think that's for me. I think I can.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Prof. Wiwi. I think I'd like to, because we do also have some lot of expert also in the room, and I'd like to provide opportunity for them to also provide comments and insight for us as well. And then later on we can then also provide feedback again. So I'd like to invite Flores to provide comments. So we also have Dr. Avianto Amri here, who is the chairman of the Indonesian Disaster Management Society, who is the think tank of disaster management law. And I think this is something that maybe would like to provide, opportunity for Pak Anto to provide comments. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you very much, Mas Febi, for the opportunity. First of all, congratulations on the research. It's really interesting. For us, it's a really eye-opener as well, because we have, from disaster management side, we are accustomed to rapid onset disasters, large-scale, medium-scale disasters. When we are facing to hear about this risk of slow onset everyday risk, it's also very concerning as well. Just looking at the numbers, and when they're facing daily flooding, it's like concerning. So I think I'll make it quick then. But for us, because we also see some of the recommendations that has been generated. First is looking at the disaster management law. The first disaster management law was actually drafted from MPBI way back from my predecessors, and we have been also pushing for revising and updating disaster management law, because it was more than 20 years old. But also recognizing that the political situation is uncertain. The winds of change is also can be sometimes we feel it can be positive, but it also can be backfiring, and maybe the changes could be actually weakening our effort in resilience. We also see a lot of pushback as well coming from other stakeholders concerning about maybe if the next law be revised, the role of BNPB can be also weakened, and that is actually what we do not want. So, but there are a lot of opportunities in implementing regulations and subsequent policies that can be done. And that moves to my next point, where we also looking at very closely on relocation policies of the government. But our starting point is from sudden onset disasters like volcano eruptions and the recent earthquake in Cianjur, where we now see the trend of government deciding people to relocate is usually it was months, and now it's just days. It's just such an easy decision for government to say that this community needs to be relocated to another place. While we know that relocation is never a simple solution, relocations is perceived as a quick and easy solutions, but we have seen a lot of bad practices as well. From our studies and brief, we recognize that, first of all, there's no policies, clear policies on relocations, especially post-disasters. There's no guidelines. There's no clear team. Who will decide on relocations? Which sectors, which agencies need to be involved? And we also feels like it's not just about the physical science of the relocations, but also the social science or the social impact of relocation is huge and long term. A lot of experiences on relocations, for instance, like in tsunami Aceh, in earthquakes in Yogyakarta. These are it's like a ticking time bombs where and that's why we see the path forward is 4 steps: having a policy, having a clear guideline, a fixed team, and a feedback mechanisms for between host communities, affected communities, and the rest of the stakeholders. The third thinking is that when listening to the presentations and the results of the research, we do recognize that this issue needs to be more visible, needs to be more discussed, needs to be aware, not just coming from the government point of view, but also from the stakeholders looking at the climate change communities and the disaster risk reduction communities. And if you are familiar that the government of Indonesia is currently developing the second nationally determined contribution, SNDC, for climate change adaptation and mitigations. And we also have recognized that the component of adaptation is still very limited. And it has not captured a lot the potentials or the importance. Even defining what is adaptation is also still be very a lot of perspectives around there. So there's still lack of awareness, lack of understandings on what adaptation means. Looking at from the lens of climate change adaptations group, from this disaster risk reduction group, including also other groups like from gender and disability, social inclusions. But meanwhile, like Pak Laude mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities. We have Green Climate Fund. The government is also doing pooling funds for disasters. So these are resources that needs to have a clear linkages with what the issues lies. So if this research can also be amplified, be more recognized, that it's not just about the threat is about rapid onset disasters or large scale disasters, but also looking at how many communities that is living in the coastal zone is very, very concerning on that. My last point will be on, actually, it's really interesting from BNPB, where it's coming from Mbak Franta from PAUDRE directorates, because the directorate actually who oversees, provide guidelines and supporting local government in doing disaster risk assessment or kajian risiko bencana. Disaster risk assessment, every local governments, district, municipalities, and province needs to do that. It's a mandatory, and it will become a primary reference and starting point to develop contingency plans, development plans, response framework, disaster management plan for those local areas. And the way our disaster risk assessment is being calculated, it still has a lot of room for improvement. Even when we calculate the vulnerability, one example is that how we calculate vulnerability is that the portions of women, children, and people with disabilities. So if you consider that there's a lot of people with disabilities, that means you are at high vulnerability. But in mathematical terms, that means if you want to reduce vulnerability, you just delete the people with disabilities. So that's also the same with children and women as well. So we believe that there is a very misguided methods where I think that we can still have a really good way to improve on how we can calculate disaster risk. including also recognizing that what will be vulnerability means with coastal communities, and that especially for children, women, and people with disabilities. So I think that's my points. The last one is I'm also the principal investigator for the KONEKSI as well. So yeah. So and also in the research we have what they call the seeding, growing, and flourishing level, right? So or bertunas, bertumbuh, berkembang. Gitu. So just curious, what's next for your research? I think that's will be everyone's mind. How do you want to grow? How you want to flourish? It will be really interesting to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mas Anto. I think we need to also consider we also have people who are attending online. So online attendance or online attendee, if you would like to provide your comments, you're more than welcome to do so as well. And also maybe people on the in the room, anybody would like to provide comments, input, suggestions? Oh, yeah, Ibu, silakan.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Hotimun Sutanti from Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center, as well as I'm a founder and coordinator of Women Local Humanitarian Network, Women Local Humanitarian Leaders Consortium. It's a network that's part of that consists of the women's rights organization and women's organization in a community level. So one of our member based in this near and in the project research area, there's the Morodemak village in Puspita Bahari community. Yeah, maybe you know them. Yeah, I only want to give like a brief, maybe brief response and maybe question. And this is for me, it's very, very valuable research because we need that and as evidence to maybe yeah, encourage more gender transformative approach in the policy, especially in the mitigation and climate mitigation and adaptation policy in Indonesia. So first, I want to share the experience of women in the MAC as I know in the coastal area that near the research area. Most of them facing like gender barriers. And for example, it's also related to their status in the family and in their marriage status. For example, fisher woman in this area, they are not recognized as worker mostly because in their ID card it's identified as the household. So they cannot access the government program for the fisherwoman and also the social protection program. And in Morodemak village, for example, they also impacted by the rise of the sea level and floods and yeah, etc. It's similar. And they also difficult to access like health facilities. And one cases, maybe you also read that one of the pregnant woman cannot access the hospitals when she already need help for her birth, the birth of the for the emergency situation, the health emergency situation, and she should use a boat to access the hospital, and it's worse because the road they cannot use the road now, and it's very worse. And then also some of our data is also the rise of the domestic violence there, and also the child marriage. Maybe I'm also curious. Maybe what maybe do you have like more data about that? That it's also could be the factor of the migration, because from of our experience also that women facing the domestic workers is one of the reason they want to go from their home and work to other place. and also they also facing difficult to fulfill their basic need for life. And then they also facing a difficult to access the government program for the not only economic resilience, but it's also many of their need because from their statement that because there is no I don't know what can I say. It's the policy, because the policy is not clear. So when they want to access the budget from the disaster resilience or contingency or disaster mitigation and so on, they cannot also to access that or disaster response because the local governments mostly think that that's a part of the disaster work or disaster budget. And when they want to they need to access the other budget, it's also difficult. So now most of them access for the maybe not for the other partner and so on to help women especially to empower and also some of their need to survive. And so, and my second, and maybe I have a recommendation, two recommendation for after this research, maybe. First, to ensure the regulation cover the need for adaptation properly and gender perspective. So, and the most important is use of the gender transformative approach and intersectionality, as Mas Anto said. It's not only disability, but maybe other identity, for example, elderly and other, maybe HIV person and so on in the community. And also, please involve women's rights organization in the climate mitigation and adaptation, because it's very important. They have experience and perspective about the climate impact situation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibu. A bit concerned about the time, so because it's already past 12 o'clock. And this is not the only conversation, so hopefully this can be like a start, like a starting point for us to even have more communication and conversation in the future. So I'd like to maybe provide opportunity for the research team to provide comments and also maybe closing as well. Yeah, comments first. Yeah, comments, feedback. Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Feby. I will try to make this brief. But first of all, I would like to, just like what Bu Amy and Bu Lely said, all the comments, all the input, insights is very much appreciated. And I'm very happy to finally meet Pak Priyanto, Pak Laude, Pak Anto, and all Ibu in person. I have heard about you all we discussed, and maybe we have met online in a way. Even with Pak Laude, I met your wife earlier, a couple months ago. We talk about the blue. And finally, I met you. Yeah. There's several points that I would like to highlight. The first one is just like some of the discussion mentions, including Pak Priyanto, if I'm not mistaken, that when we talk about climate change, disasters, these issues is cost-cutting, and it requires more and more multidisciplinary and also transdisciplinary approach. With that perspective, you mentioned about the indicators. I think it's very important for us to be aware, for example, from the government perspective. I know that Bappenas, including with the Ministry of Home Affairs, already developed such indicators that should be followed by not only the national, but also provincial and local governments in addressing several sectors. So I think the cascading effect is very important. So all the main indicators set by the national government as already mentioned in the National Development Planning document can be followed in the nice way in the sectoral perspective, yeah, at the lower level. For example, when we talk about climate change related to the gender, women and child issues. So I think it's very important for the sectoral ministry to understand the main indicators related to climate change, not only mitigation, but also adaptation and also resilience related indicators. So we can integrate and can contribute, yeah, in the most possible efficient way to achieve these indicators. I think it's kind of very important part when we talk about government business process, because I know that what I understand that the governance system in Indonesia now, all the programs and activities should be there in the midterm planning, and the indicators should be also there. That's why the way we can make an integrative, yeah, indicator set is very, very important. And I like that some of the discussion also mentioned about, and also from Pak Prianto as well, you mentioned not only focusing on the impact, but also from the cost. Yeah, because I fully agree with all of you that in Indonesia, we are likely working in the reactive approach. We try to address the impact, but we less likely to work at the proactive approach. We are likely to think the cost in the lower weight compared to the impact, because we are so busy to think what happened, what the impact, and how we can address the impact. So thank you so much for bringing this idea. And I think that is also similar to what Pak Laude, you've mentioned a lot about the physical, yeah, the physical, about the land subsidence. It's very different, different characteristic compared to when we talk about so many types. And Pak Anto strengthened while saying between the slow onset and sudden onset. So yeah, the main, it will be very long and will be very interesting if we can deep dive more into that perspective when we talk about the cost and impact, and try to combine it with the focus on women and children. So with that kind of situations, just like you mentioned, Pak, we hope that we can have new ideas to, and important ideas to continue, yeah, this into the next stage. I mean, our research, and do think that all of your inputs are very, very valuable for us. I think I will stop here, considering the times. Maybe Bu Emi and Bu Leli, if you would like to add something, please. Thank you.
Okay, maybe I will give comment about what next from our research. Actually, we have like a plan, I mean, right? Yeah. To have like the next stage for this phase 2 proposal for this research project. Yeah, I think lead by Amy. So we will focus on mitigation, like you mentioned about mitigation, migration. So this kind of mobility, relocation. So probably your input on that point, like we will maybe need working closely with you about this migration issue. And Bu, iya, Bu Imun, yeah, I think we should work on with the woman NGO. I think that would be beneficial for our next stage, phase 2 of this research project. So maybe we will, consult with stakeholder that relevant to our issue. And then for the outcome of the project, actually we already secured the book contract, Springer. So I think this is one of achievement from our research project. So all like we have Brin, Undip, and Griffith. For Brin itself have 12 researcher. So all 12 researcher will be the lead of this their writing project. So in the book chapter, like me from Research Center for Law, I think that we have 10 of researchers. So every researcher should write their finding of the research and become the lead author of this book. Springer we are the editor. And me and Bu Iwi. So I think that's one achievement that we already secure. And another, maybe we need to produce for articles, right? I mean, for articles for journal publication. So it is on the way, because it is, yeah, it is, I think, it needs time to revise the article. And then we have like, what's that? To report, yeah, to report, and maybe we will publish this policy brief in Indonesia and English, and we will circulate and disseminate this. And for our next stage, probably we want to have like the policy evidence policy based making, like how we approach the relevant ministry to help with this policy making, addressing this particular issue on celebrize land subsidence, and then all related aspect to this. So policy making is one of actually our output in the next stage. So we need to consult more to the specific ministry or specific institution for this. So I think I'll let Amy to close the session.
No, thank you everyone for attending in person, and thank you to everyone online, including I see we have a few guests from Australia, so we're really grateful for your time today as well. We're really keen to see how we can grow, but we want to grow with everybody. So with our own partnership, but also in collaboration with you all. So we're very keen over lunch to have conversations and get extra feedback and talk about ways we can work together. But also, unfortunately, Jenny and I have to go back to Australia, but very keen to keep having collaborative meetings over Zoom and with our partners present as well. I'd also just like to thank Dr. Febi for his excellent facilitation of the session as well, and for all of our colleagues from Undip, Bryn, Ekupi and Patiro, not only for your support on the project, but also your support in setting this up. Thank you to our 5 discussants. You were amazing. And for the excellent extra feedback as well. We value it all. I'll hand over to finish.
Thank you, Bu Emi, Prof. Wiwi, and Bu Laili. As we know that, so this is not the one and only discussions for us to have a further conversation about this topic. So after this we have lunch and oh, okay, like yeah. Oh yes, I would like to return. Okay, so maybe thank you so much. So that's actually my job is finished. I would like to. I didn't realize. So I'd like to hand the microphone back to the MC. Thank you, Pak Asep.
Excuse me, before the MC, can I ask you guys for something? We just lost one of our friends today, Pak Faisal Basri, the one I really admire. Can you guys send prayer for him, please?
So let's have a prayer for a while to for the late Faisal Bahri.
Faisal Basri.
Faisal Basri. Thank you for the moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, Pak Laude.
Thank you, Mas Feby Dwi Rahmadi as a moderator, and thanks again to speakers, presenters, and discussion, and to all of the participants for valuable contribution in this discussion. Please give a big round of applause to everyone who has made this possible. Before we close this discussion, ada pantun sedikit lagi. Don't think everything so hard. One of speaker is Dr. Emian. Sesaat lagi kita akan istirahat dan sudah disiapkan makan siang. Okay. But before we break for lunch, please to Mr. Laude and Mr. Priyanto to accept the placard from Brin and to Ibu Emilia Justiningrup to give to the speaker. And after that, we continue with our photo group. Mbak, silakan Pak Laude dan Pak Priyanto terlebih dahulu untuk menerima plakat. Setelah itu kita foto bersama. Sesi foto bersamanya narasumber, pembicara, speaker di depan dan di belakang nanti peserta. Pak Mardi, silakan Pak. Untuk Pak Laude. Selanjutnya kepada Pak Priyanto. Please to all participants, kepada seluruh peserta berada di baris belakang. For the speaker still have a seat. To the speaker please have a seat, and for the all participant have a standing. Ya, boleh monggo silakan. Silakan Bapak Ibu bisa berdiri di belakang pembicara untuk diambil foto bersama. Ada pepatah yang mengatakan barang siapa yang tidak mau difoto tidak ada dalam sejarah. Oke. No picture, no history. Come on. Setelah sesi foto bersama, kita bisa menikmati santap siang. Iya, boleh berdiri juga kalau berarti. Iya. Soalnya nih ini tinggi-tinggi juga sih, kalau duduk kepalanya nggak kelihatan. Silakan Bapak dan Ibu untuk menuju ke arah bendera, Kita berfoto bersama. Iya, itu yang moto dari sebelah sana, Bu. Iya, di sini aja. Stay here. Ayo silakan, ikan sepat, ikan gabus, ikan lele, lebih cepat, lebih bagus, tidak bertele-tele. Kita segera foto. Mungkin supaya kelihatan ada yang duduk. Ada yang duduk, ada yang berdiri ya. Baris kedua, baris ketiga bisa berdiri. Pak Mardi, fotografer mohon dicek ya. Kanan kirinya yang harus ke kanan atau ke kiri. Thank you very much. Please take your lunch. Excuse me, we ask one more photo session for speakers. Mohon izin Pak Laude, Pak Priyatno, Prof. Iwi, supaya bisa berada di tengah di antara bendera ini untuk ada sesi pengambilan foto satu kali lagi. Terima kasih. Please to Dr. Emi Yang atau Profesor Jennifer. Ya, mohon izin Pak Laude, Dr. Emi Yang, Profesor Jennifer to take picture first.